What's up guys, welcome to the channel. So you're joining me today, or should I say tonight, while I set up my float rod for a fishing trip later on the canal. So the first thing we need to do is thread the line through the eyes of the rod, which I have just done. So let's get cracking on this. First thing we need is a float. So this one is a 1+2 BB, a nice light float, perfect for roach, rudd, perch. You can also use it for carp, bream, anything really, but the heavier the float, the more weight you need to add on to the float. What do I mean by weights? If I can get them out, find the right slot in my rod bag, in my tackle bag should I say. So these are super soft split shots. They will help hold your float in place, keep them at the right depth. So let's get this cracking. First of all, you need to thread your line onto your float. Might help if you moisten your line a little bit. And I'll be back with you once I've got this one on, because I am using a float adapter and the hole on it is pretty small at the moment. So there we go, I've threaded the line onto this float adapter. So a float adapter, all that allows you to do is, if I need a heavier float to go further out from where I'm fishing, all it allows me to do is switch floats to whichever size I need. But I know this is going to be more than adequate for where I'm going to be fishing. This is good for setting up beforehand so that you can get fishing sooner when you're, rather than setting up on the bank, but that is only if you are available to do so. So what other things other than the float, the line, the rod, or pole, whichever you want to use, and the weights, what else do you need? So I'm pretty lucky here because I have got a fish tank behind me, I've got a fish tank to the side of me, so I can use the fish tank to help set the depth of what I need on that float. So I know this float does not need much at all. If anything, all I'm going to need is 2 of the number 1s and a number 6 at the bottom of the line to help get the bait down in the water. So let me just reposition this camera so you can see exactly what we're going to be doing. So there's one of the split shot. They are pretty small as you can see, and they've got a little slit in there, so you can put them on your line. So I will just put these onto the line, one on either side of the float, to help hold the float in place. Just like so. and that'll stop the float from slipping. And then all I'm going to do, plop it in the water. As you can see, now if I add one more number 1 on there, and I'll show you the results of adding more weight on, because the objective really is to find out where it's comfortable for you while you are out fishing, especially at a certain distance. And there we go. I've got 3 number 1s on there. And as you can see, that's taken the float down quite significantly. Now I've got that down to the depth that is comfortable for me. You can readjust it when you are on the side of the bank. So for me to finish setting this setup up, all I need to do is prepare my hook lengths, or a hook length. I can redo it on the side of the bank if I need a bigger hook, a smaller hook. It all depends. Depends what you're fishing for. So if you're going for something like a common carp, you might want to go a little bit bigger. But because I'm going for roach, and because we are in winter, I'm going for a small hook, which is a size 18. So fairly small, can be fairly difficult to tie, but as we always say, practice makes perfect. For my hook length, you always want to try and go smaller. So I've got 4-pound hook lengths, or 4-pound line to create some hook lengths. So all I'm going to do is take some of this 4-pound line, snip some off, just like so. Now, this hook has got a little eye on the end of it to make it a bit easier to tie on. Same again, moisten the line a little bit to help you. Now, the smaller the hook, the trickier it can be to tie. So I'm going to pull some through, and then all I'm going to do is around the hook, wrap it round 7 to 10 times, put the line back through the eye, and then I'm going to tie the hook length off. And don't forget to moisten your knots and your line to help prevent them from snapping. Now this you will want to concentrate with. As I said, smaller hook, the harder it can be. So to moisten the line, all you need to use is some water or some saliva. I'm just going to use some of my saliva at the moment. It'll help to strengthen the knot and to stop it snapping so easily. and then I'm just going to tie a couple of overhand knots, or half hitches, or figure of eights, whichever you find more comfortable. And then tighten them down. You want to pull them nice and firm, but not too tight that you will snap the line. Just be aware of that. Obviously, the bigger the hooks, the bigger the eyes they could have on them, so the easier it can be to tie. But because I'm using quite small or thin line, it can make it more difficult. And there we go. That's that hook tied on. All I need to do now is trim the tag end, just like so. As you can see there, a nice hook tied. And then I'm just going to tie a figure of 8 knot on the other end of this line to create a loop so I can attach it onto my main line. And all I'm going to do is tie a figure of 8, moisten, and then trim the tag end again, just like so. Now I've got a number 6 split shot here, which I'm going to put onto my hook length. I will have to open this one up because it is one that I have used before. And sometimes they don't like to be reopened. So if you have to use something to help you or anything like that, feel free to do so. There we go, I've got another number 6 just to make this a little bit easier. And there we go, a number 6 on my line. Get my float. Now I'm not going to bother moistening this line because while I was setting up that hook length, I did have my line and a float in some water, and this one does not want to cut. So all I've done is I've done 2 loops in my line. Now I'm going to open up this one loop. feed one loop on top of the other. So you can feed the hook length over the top of your mainline loop. Put your hook through your mainline loop that you've just created. Feed it through. I do apologise, I'm not the best at making these videos. And then just pull the two loops, not too tight but firm. As you can see, that's connected your hook length onto your main line. So I'm not going to go into actually setting up your depth at the moment. I will do that when I'm on the side of the bank, because I will be going out on the canal later on, so I can cover that later on. But for your bog standard float setup, that is virtually it. The only thing you're missing is a landing net, a landing net handle, in case you do catch a nice sized fish, so you do not damage the fish. A license, but you will need to check the rules and regulations of where you are to find out if you do need a rod and license, which the odds are, depending on where you are, you will need one no matter what. And the only other thing you're missing is your bait. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Leave any comments in the description of what you would like to see, or any setups you would like me to set up to show you how to do it, or if there's any fishing in particular you would like me to do. Thank you very much, guys. Have a nice day.